just has been a lucky coincidence we could do this event today. Guests from ICT. Since when I was asked if I could give a short speech about North Korea, luckily we planned a lot of events starting tomorrow with having guests from South Korea. So just by coincidence, we had all those speakers here together. So if some of you are interested in learning more about DPRK, we have a lot of information within the next 10-day events we will have in Berlin. And probably I would suggest we could just send you the time schedule for all those events by email, and whoever has interest can just get them there, including a film festival with documentaries about North Korea, focusing as well on what I explained in the beginning, the two perspectives about the regime. This might be interesting to see our journalists do that. Another brochure we brought is actually not by our NGO, but by Ms. Kwon's NGO, which explains an issue that is very that is not known very well about forced labor in North Korea. I don't know if you want to add something about that, or just go to questions for this.
Yeah, it is just written by me and my team, and it is about the North Korean labor system organized and run by the authorities itself, and there is like a military style of construction brigade in North Korea, which is a similar format of military, but their service is just a state national construction project for 10 years service and without any payment. But from 17 years, in a vulnerable class of people, in a group, they dispatched to this brigade and had to work for 10 years. I investigated and analyzed this system and wrote one report, but it is a simple pamphlet to just introduce you to this situation. Yeah, so if you want, then you can have this.
Okay, so for the Q&A, if you have a question, please raise your hand and please state your name, where you're from. Okay, we have a question in the front row.
Yes, sir. I'm Dr. William. I'm from Texas. In America, Americans believe that the regime is hostile, but they know very little about the conditions in North Korea. The American government focuses on the government in Pyongyang, but very little on the people. What is America getting wrong? What can America really do to help the people in North Korea?
The question should go to where? To whom? I think yeah, right. I think that answer question should go to him because it is related to his activities. Yes. Because his work is for free flow of information by producing radio programs for North Korean people to raise awareness.
Because the American government, they focus too much on the government, on their nuclear weapons. They don't talk much about the conditions of people like so what can America really do to help people in that country?
북한 핵무기, 안보 문제 여기 굉장히 관심을 가지고 있지만 반대로 이제 이런 지금 이야기해 주신 이런 북한 상황들에 대해서는 잘 모르고 있어요. 사실 미국은 알리고 있어야 되는데 미국이 북한 상황들을 위해서 할 수 있는 기억은 저는 이제 정보를 전혀 대한 이야기, 북한을 의식을 못해서 이야기일 수 있기 때문에 김 대표님 알려주시면 감사할 것 같아요.
1970년대부터 지금까지 러시아의 골목 건설 이런 일을 하려 갔다가 북한으로 돌아간 사람들이 한 50만 정도가 됩니다. 대략 추측이. 근데 그 사람들은 러시아에 나와서 북한이 정치가 나쁘고 지도자가 문제가 있다는 걸 압니다. 근데 그 사람들은 북한에 들어가서 아무 말도 공개적으로 못합니다. 왜냐하면 아주 가혹한 처벌을 받기 때문에. 그래서 북한이 지금 변하려면 북한 안에서 북한 사람들이 북한 지도자와 정치와 제도의 문제점을 공개적으로 이야기할 수 있어야 하는데 이것이 가장 어렵습니다. 그리고 북한 사람들이 대부분은 외부 세계가 어떻게 살아가는지를 전혀 모릅니다. 그래서 그걸 알려주어야 되는데 그러자면 북한에 정보를 많이 넣어야 되고, 그리고 두 번째는 북한 주민들이 그러한 정보를 볼 수 있는 IT 기기를 많이 넣어줘야 됩니다. 이것이 가장 첫 번째라고 저는 생각을 합니다.
For instance, since 1970s until now, I estimate around 500,000 people who worked in foreign countries like Russia or others as loggers, and then went back to North Korea. This number is around 500,000 people had an experience in foreign countries' life. And these people got to know what kind of problems in North Korean politics and the leadership has. However, no one can publicly or even individually can talk about this criticism or political issues. In order for improvement of the situation of North Korea, people can talk about this situation publicly, and they can talk to each other. And the reason why they can't talk publicly is it is the target of political target and of punishment. People should talk about these political issues publicly, and at the same time, North Korean people on the soil cannot have any correct information on the international communities. And that information should go to North Korean people. The more information should flow into North Korean people. And therefore, through this movement or activities, we can get the changes and improvements and betterment of North Korean society. And for that, we have to also deliver in any ways the creative and technical devices to access to foreign information.
Add a little. Do you want to continue?
그래서 지금 저희 방송이 이 국무부하고 NED, National Endowment Democracy Foundation의 지원을 받아서 방송을 하는데 그게 이렇게 충분한 우리가 원하는 방송을 만들 만큼 예산이 많지는 않습니다. 그래서 미국은 그래 지금까지 지원을 해주고 있는데 저희가 이제 유럽 쪽에서는 아직은 그런 거는 없고, 그래서 북한의 사람들이 자기가 속으로 생각하고 있는 것을 말할 수 있게 만드는 그런 환경을 조성하려면 정보를 엮고 그 정보가 대중적으로 확산되게 해야 되는데 이 부분이 지금 아직은 좀 미약합니다. 그래서 그런 부분들에 지금 영향을 집중해야 되는데 미국이 그런 쪽에서 좀 더 해줬으면 좋겠고 유럽도 좀 거기에 같이 해줬으면 좋겠다는 생각입니다.
I hope to raise funds from basically for my activities, radio production and airing production programs into North Korea via shortwave radios, funded by NED and DRL, the US government, and NED is the National Endowment for Democracy. However, these funding are not enough, and but from European government or EU Parliament, or there is no funds for these activities. So we have to focus on the free flow of information and disseminating foreign information, and also publicizing information among North Korean citizens. It is the key to improvement of North Korea.
Agreeing totally with Mr. Kim Seung Cheol, I would like to add one more thing. Since you asked what people probably get wrong about it, there is one thing you really need to understand, that the North Korean ideology is totally built around the idea that the United States is an evil empire enemy that seeks only to destroy North Korea. A lot of people believe that. And if, for example, there is people starving from food shortage, it's of course the fault, as for the propaganda, of America because of sanctions, stuff like that. So if you try, for example, with United States diplomats to negotiate with the North Korean regime, it might not make much progress. The North Korea says clearly since the era of Kim Jong-il, the father of Kim Jong-un, that they need ICBM, a nuclear program, to protect themselves from being attacked by the United States. And I would actually believe that they see it that way. If you see now the role of European countries regarding North Korea, there is not much engagement, there is a little bit of dialogue, there is diplomatic exchange programs, stuff like that. But probably, especially Germany could be a country to open up the dialogue much more. Because East Germany, when Germany was divided, cooperated intensely with North Korea, while West Germany cooperated with South Korea intensely. So to push this forward probably in the future could open a dialogue much more. North Korea is today accepting to talk to the German government about human rights. They accept this dialogue to no other country in the world. It's not leading somewhere by now, to be true, but at least there's one chance to talk about it. So this could be interesting to get more European countries involved, such as the United States have an embassy in North Korea, Poland, Sweden, and Spain just ended their diplomatic exchange, I think. But this could be a chance to improve the dialogue.
I see a lot of hands. Yeah, and I'm sure this is an issue we could talk about for days. Unfortunately, we have time for just one more question, but I encourage anybody in the audience to contact Saram, the information that's available. We're going to take a question here. Yes, could you please stand up and say
Hi there. My name is Vince. I come from the US. I've been living in Europe for many years. I want to thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time and your stories. So my question is for you. I have listened intensely, and I appreciate your goals. I share them. I appreciate your work and your ambitions, but if I understood correctly, you see that the principal goal of the North Korean regime, which is what everybody sees actually, is that their principal goal is to keep these, the power hold that they have, to continue to propagate their ideology, which is not just a regime, but also a religion, their own. And you also mentioned, because of what they've published in several world languages, their interest in being accepted by the foreign community. I struggle to see how that actually is their interest. Everybody wants to be accepted, but at the end of it, any of these talks, which I think are wonderful theoretically, any of these talks, I just wonder how you intend to get in there diplomatically if, in fact, you end up coming back to the same point always, because you can try to give them the torch and the light of a human rights effort, but if it's completely opposed to their ideology, they're not just that regime's ideology is not just against the U.S. or the West, but in fact the ideology of the rest of the world community, everyone. And now they've got these weapons, and they're not just pointing them at the U.S. but actually at everyone. So I just wonder if you could detail that a bit, and I apologize if that challenges you.
No, that's
sure. Is that clear? Is it clear?
Okay. So yeah, your question actually summarizes the basic problem we have to develop a concept to finally overcome the regime in Pyongyang, or to improve human rights, or to find any way of solution there. So if I would have like 2 hours time, I could explain many concepts and details and ideas. Still, there is no solution by now. One thing I understood from you, actually they are targeting their weapons not at the international community. It is mostly the United States, or what they consider to be closest allies or puppets, as they say, of the United States. Mm-hmm. And they never threaten Europe with anything, they never threaten South America, they never threaten Russia or China. So it's basically this thing you need to understand. So now if you look just over the last half year probably, the dialogue between the United States government and North Korea has been intense. All over the media worldwide, there was news about North Korea, about Kim Jong-un, the kind of new dictator now. He's exactly my age, by the way, who runs now this dictatorship. And he is worldwide famous now as a person who is very, very strong and dangerous, who has his country totally controlled. And this is mainly, I assume, the strategy he had with the provocations.
With the what?
The strategy he had with all those provocations right now, like, okay, not the whole, but one part of the strategy. So, if you, for example, listen what the statements from the United States president were right now, there was a speech about fire and fury. I think most of you got this. North Korea got really confused by that. Because what they normally do is they consider, okay, where's the red line? We will go exactly to that level, and then we will stop and negotiate. And they were now really confused that they couldn't see this red line anymore, because there was many little bit different statements toward how to react. And so North Korea tried actually to get into contact to diplomats. They talked before, years ago, to ask, okay, what is the United States wanting right now? Where do they see the red line? We don't know this anymore. And this is when the situation becomes really dangerous. Because I don't believe North Korea will ever start a war without feeling that it's the only chance they have. Because they know they will lose. They have the fourth largest standing army in the world, but it is technically not really developed. It is Second World War level of weapons, mostly, besides the nukes. So if you ask now for the complete strategy from today up to the next 20 years how to solve the situation, I can't answer that. Of course. But for sure what we need to do is to improve dialogue with partner countries to North Korea that can actually offer something and they are not part of the ideology as totally enemies. So for example, the United States government would try to de-escalate the situation, probably try to use European countries who have kind of, as far as this is possible, good diplomatic relations with North Korea. And also China is actually a country that will be, however the solution will look like, the main actor on this. This should be, I think, clear and obvious.
Thank you.
With that, I hope you can join me in thanking especially our speakers for their testimonies one more time.